We're told all the time about science. What happened when our public health experts, like Dr. Fauci, for instance, told us not to wear masks? Don't wear masks. Masks are bad for you. If you wear a mask, you're being irresponsible. Surgeon General of the United States said the same thing. And we were told, trust the science, believe the science. As though the science were some deity that we have to pay obeisance to. Well, then all those guys completely changed their minds. Based on what? Based on new studies? We didn't get really new studies. They changed their minds. Then you got to believe the science there. We were told, believe the science, 15 days to slow the spread, flatten the curve so that you don't overwhelm the hospital system. Not find a cure, not reduce the number of cases, not even really reduce the number of deaths. Just reduce the number of unnecessary deaths if you were to overwhelm the hospital system. We never came close to overwhelming the hospital system anywhere in the country, including New York. They had the Javits Center, they had that hospital ship, didn't need either of them. Same thing over in California, didn't need it. Great, big success, right? So the lockdowns are over by April 1st, right? No way, not a chance. We're now 241 days in. People are dying alone. People are not seeing their grandparents. Now we're being told we're not allowed to go home for Thanksgiving. Or if we do go home, you can only have a meal with 10 people. So if I've got some Catholic friends of mine, some of them have just 10 kids or 11 kids or 12 kids. So you gotta pick your favorites. You gotta send those other kids outside. Maybe they can come for Christmas. We'll see. We'll see if President-elect Joe Biden will let them. More on him in just a bit. So there's one new machine out of Nebraska, which is, it's a new scientific way to circumvent the lockdowns. It allows you to hug, I can't even get through it without laughing. It allows you to hug your relatives by reaching through a plastic sheet and in plastic, wrapping your plastic arms around your beloved grandfather. Take a listen. Is this heartwarming? I don't.
Don't forget
that. It's something kind of heartwarming because you know that these grandparents haven't seen their grandkids in however long. It's also very sad.
Oh, this is great. Oh,
This is what, not the virus has reduced us to, this is what bad policies have reduced us to. This is inhuman. You know, I have friends, I unfortunately haven't been able to travel back to see my grandparents in the last, 5 or 6 months that this has really been going on. But I have friends who have. And in some cases, the parents didn't want to see them. They said, I'm too afraid of the virus. But in most cases, the grandparents said, come on in here, Sonny. This happened to a very good friend of mine just a couple months ago. He said, come on in here. I know I'm 85 years old. I know I'm at risk. But, I'm going to die soon anyway, and I don't want to go without seeing my loved ones. There have been petitions in nursing. There was a protest, actually, at a nursing home where people said, the thing we look forward to is getting hugs from our relatives, and you're taking that away from us, you sick politicians. That question of whether or not you can hug your grandparents, that's not a scientific question. Maybe there's some increased risk to the virus. Maybe the risk actually isn't that large compared to other viruses. That's sort of beside the point. There's a political question, a philosophical question, a theological question. What are we here for? How are we to relate to one another? How are we to relate to life? How are we to relate to death? It occurred to me yesterday that COVID is the single craziest thing to ever happen in my lifetime. Ever. Not the virus. I had plenty of viruses in my lifetime. West Nile, Ebola, I don't know, all those sort of things. Swine flu. The COVID lockdowns. That's the craziest thing to happen in my lifetime. I tweeted this out and a number of people said, well, what about 9/11? You were alive for 9/11. 9/11, I guess, was the most horrific thing to happen in my lifetime. But that's different than crazy. It's not that it was so crazy, so unusual, so unexpected, so unprecedented. There have always been terrorist attacks in history. Many of them have come from Islamic radicals. There actually was already a terror attack on the World Trade Center in 1993. The people who did it told us their justification for doing it. So still, obviously, horrific. Crazy is a different thing. And the COVID lockdowns are absolutely crazy because there is no reasoning behind it. They change the reasoning every single day. They extend it indefinitely. There is no end in sight, no matter what these hack politicians tell you. Biden's COVID advisor says 4 to 6 weeks. A likely story. I've heard that one before. To quote a former president, fool me once, shame on you. Fooled me twice. The point is, you ain't going to fool me again. That's the sort of science that we're talking about here. It's just a power grab. I hope you enjoyed that short segment from the Michael Knowles Show. Be sure to check out the full episode linked in the description or download the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.